Hello everybody and welcome to your next XNA platformer tutorial. And in this tutorial we're going to be doing our last tutorial on ScreenState for now. And in this tutorial we're just going to be I'm just going to be showing you how we're going to do transitioning between two screens, so how it's essentially going to work. So what we want to do before we get into anything, already got this done. Okay, I'm going to erase this stuff just so we can walk through it with the tutorial. But we got rid of and I don't know if there was initialize in there. But all we want is load content, unload content, update, and we want draw. Okay, and for the game1.cs, what we want to do before we even get into anything, we want to add in the load content. We want to add the updates, and we want to do sprite batch begin, draw it, and last but not least, sprite batch end. So before we get into this, we want to create a new class, and we're going to name it title screen. Okay, so title, and we're going to name it public. Now, like I believe I said in the last tutorial, that what we're going to be doing is we're going to be loading the content when we need it, and we're going to unload it when we don't need it. So if we go to our game screen class, and we need to go to title screen, and we need to inherit from the game screen class. So what we need to do is that for the content manager has a built-in function called unload, or built-in method, and what that method does is that it unloads every single thing that was loaded by that specific content manager. So for example, if we go to game1.cs, if we were to go to unload content, if we use the main content that's used by game1.cs, and we did content.unload, then everything that was loaded using this content manager would be unloaded. But what we need to do is create separate content managers for each single screen or whatever we're going to be loading in, because we don't want to unload every single content whenever we're switching to a new screen. We only want to unload the content that we were using and then load a new content. So how do we do this? What we're going to do is that we're going to create a protected content manager, and we're going to name it content in lowercase. So for the load content, what we're going to do is that we need to make this content a new content manager, right? So we do this by saying content is equal to new content manager, and we need certain things. So this is why we have this content and parameters. So we take the content, or whatever the name you name it here, from the parameters. We say dot service provider. We get that, and for the root directory, it's just content, or whatever name you change it to. Okay, and for unload content, all we're gonna do is just put content dot unload. Now you can, when you override the load content and content, you can do that in there. But we're going to be doing this for every single screen, right? So instead of repeating the same thing over and over again, just put it into the virtual functions, and then we just have to use the base virtual function. And they'll treat the content like different instances for each class. So anyways, for what we need to do is we need to include these 4 namespaces. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a keyboard state, and we're going to name it key state, and we're going to have a sprite font, and we're going to name it fonts. So now we're going to override our 4 methods. So we override unload content, and then we're going to override the update, and we're going to override the draw. So what we're going to do is, before we continue, for our screen manager as well, we're going to create our own content manager. So we're going to say content manager content, and we'll say creating uh, custom content manager, and in the load content method, we're going to just say content equals new content manager dot service provider, and we'll have the content name over there. Okay, and you can pass in either this content or that content, because every single load content is just going to take the service provider. That's all we really need, so it doesn't matter which one you pass in. Okay, so what we're going to do for the update is that we're going to say that key state is equals to keyboard dot get state, and we're going to say that if key state dot is key down key Z or any other key, then we're going to call screen manager add screen, and for the game screen we're going to put new title screen. Okay, so for the drawing, all we're going to do is we're just going to display the class's name there so we can just see the transition between screens. So we're just going to put font, we're going to put splash screen. For the position, we'll just put at 100 or any position you want, and we'll make the color black. Okay, so on the load content, we need to load a font, right? So what we're going to say if not font, then we're going to say font equals content.load. And the only reason why I have not font there is just to prove to you later on that it is indeed unloading the content and then loading in the content after, right? So after this tutorial you can remove this line of code, but we're just doing this to prove something. Okay, and the font is called font 1 or whatever the font you name it. Okay, and oh sorry, let's say font is equal to null. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to copy this and we're going to paste this in the title screen class, and we of course need to put in the namespaces as well. So the framework, the content, the graphics, and the input. Okay, and all we need to change right here is just change the splash screen, and we need to change this to a different key just because we're not taking a single input, we're taking multiple inputs, so we need to have different buttons so it doesn't transition too fast. And yeah, that's everything it needs to be. Okay, so well, we don't even need to have a font equals well, yeah, we should do that. Okay, so if we go to the screen manager, and where's our add screen? So for our add screen, what we're going to do is that we're going to say current screen dot unload content, right? So it's going to unload the content of the first screen. Then we're going to say current screen is equal to the new screen, and then we're going to say current screen dot load content, so that we're going to load the new screen's content, and that is it. So if everything goes according to plan, when we run this is what we should get. So we see splash screen right there. When we press Z, and I don't know why that isn't working. Okay, the problem is stupid mistake. In title screen.cs, just change this to title screen so we can actually see the transition between screens. So when we press Z, sorry, I was just testing some debugging. So when you press Z, it changes the title screen, and when we click enter, it changes back. So we transition back and forth. And just to show you that the content is loading and unloading, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to say I'm going to put a breakpoint right there. So at first it should do the breakpoint so it loads it in, right? So font is no longer null anymore, okay? So let's run the program. So when I press Z, it should unload all the content, right? So therefore font should be equal to null. So this says if fonts equal to null, then we load it, else if, then we don't load it. So when we press enter one more time, fonts equal to null again, so it loads it again. So it unloads the content when we don't need it, and then it will load back in the content when we need it. So that's how the transition between screens is going to work. And in the next tutorial, we're going to be adding in animations in order to make the transitions look cooler and be smoother. So that's it for this tutorial. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and bye.